My glasses, the ones I desperately needed to see, dangled over the murky water of the boys' bathroom toilet, held by the one person I hated most in Crestwood High. He looked at me with a twisted grin, his knuckles white as he held my future in his fingertips. But let me back up and tell you how it all began. My name is Eliza Vance. I am 17 years old, and my senior year was supposed to be simple. All I wanted to do was keep my head down, get good grades, and save up enough money from my part-time job at the diner to buy a beat-up old car. Freedom on four wheels, that was the goal. I was not popular, but I was not an outcast either. I was perfectly, comfortably invisible, just another face in the crowded hallways of our small Ohio school. I liked it that way. Invisibility was a kind of armor, but armor only works if no one tries to test it. My problem had a name, Caleb. Caleb was one of those guys who thought being loud and obnoxious was a substitute for a personality. He was a jock, handsome in that generic way that impressed freshmen, and he moved through the school like he owned the place. For some reason, he decided I was his new favorite project. It started in gym class. We were supposed to be running laps on the outdoor track, and he started chasing me, laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. I ignored him, lengthening my stride, my ponytail smacking against my back. He ran past me and then just stopped dead on the track right in front of me. I slowed to a walk, annoyed. When I got close, he leaned in and said, "Hey, Vance, I gotta tell you something." I waited, expecting some stupid joke. Instead, he just shoved me hard. I stumbled off the track onto the grass, my sneakers slipping. He just laughed and jogged away. My face burned with humiliation, but I brushed myself off and kept going. I told myself to let it go, that guys like him get bored easily. I was wrong. When we got back inside the gym building, he started up again, darting around me, trying to trip me. I finally snapped. "Stop it, Caleb," I said, my voice low and tight. He just grinned, his eyes sparkling with amusement. He loved that he was getting a reaction. That's when I decided I had to draw a line. As he passed by me one more time, I swung my hand out, not in a punch, but just a hard, sharp flick. My knuckles connected with his lip, and a tiny bead of blood welled up. His smile vanished. His face turned dark. "What you did was messed up, Eliza," he spat. Before I could even process what was happening, his hand shot out and snatched the glasses right off my face. The world instantly blurred into a useless soup of colors and shapes. "Give them back," I yelled, my voice shaking with a mix of fear and rage. I lunged for him, grabbing his hoodie. He just ripped himself away easily and sneered, "Screw you." He stormed off towards the boys' bathroom, and I had no choice but to follow him, stumbling blindly. I pushed the door open to the foul smell of stale smoke and cheap disinfectant. He was standing by a stall, holding my glasses over the toilet bowl. "I'm going to drop them," he said, his voice echoing off the grimy tiles. "Unless you let me slap you. Just one slap and you get your glasses back." I stared at the blurry shape of my glasses, my key to the world, hanging over that disgusting toilet. "If you drop them in there," I said, my voice dangerously quiet, "you'll be the one fishing them out." I tried to point at the toilet to emphasize my point, and in that split second I looked away, he took his chance. His hand came out of nowhere, a blur of motion, and cracked across my face. The sting was sharp and shocking, but the humiliation was worse. He had tricked me, slapped me, and now stood there holding all the power. That slap broke something inside of me. All the anger I had been swallowing, all the frustration, it all came boiling up in a wave of pure primal rage. I did not scream, I did not cry. I just acted. I launched myself forward and spit directly in his face. He recoiled in disgust, and that gave me the opening I needed. We crashed into each other. He was stronger, but I was fueled by something he could not understand. He scratched at my arms, his fingernails digging into my skin, but I barely felt it. I shoved him with all my might, pushing him backward, off balance. His head slammed into the solid metal handle of the toilet flusher with a sickening crack. He crumpled to the floor, moaning, and I saw two of his front teeth lying on the filthy linoleum. I snatched my glasses from his loosened grip, put them on, and walked out. We both got suspended for 4 days. The school said it was a mutual fight. It did not matter that he started it, that he stole my property, that he assaulted me first. In their eyes, we were equally to blame. Those 4 days gave me a lot of time to think. I realized that fighting Caleb head-on was a losing game. The system was not on my side. When we got back to school, I was a different person. The invisibility cloak was gone, replaced by a reputation. People whispered as I walked by. Caleb's friends gave me dirty looks. One of them, a kid named Leo who had a reputation for being a bit slow, decided to carry on Caleb's legacy. In cooking class, I was sitting in my usual spot, scrolling on my phone before the bell. Leo walked in, came right over to my table, and without a word, started kicking my chair. I looked up at him, bewildered. "What the hell are you doing?" I asked. He just kept kicking, a dumb smile plastered on his face until my chair was pushed completely out from my spot. "You're in my seat," he said simply, as if that explained everything. He grabbed another chair and put it where I had been. "Why didn't you just ask me to move?" I said, my voice dangerously calm. "You wouldn't have listened," he said, that vacant smile never leaving his face. I knew then that this was not about the seat. This was about putting me back in my place. The next day, I made sure to get to cooking class early and sat in the exact same spot. Sure enough, Leo came in and started his routine again. As he swung his foot to kick my chair, I kicked his leg away. "Stop kicking me," he had the nerve to whine. "Then shut up and use your words," I told him. "You will not listen to me," he repeated like a broken record, trying to kick me again. I kicked him back, harder this time. Then I leaned over and spit right on his pants leg. The effect was instantaneous. He screamed like he had been set on fire and ran out of the room, crying. I found out later from the principal that he had severe obsessive-compulsive disorder and that my spit had triggered a major episode. I was suspended for 2 days. Leo received no punishment at all. The pattern was clear. Every time I was provoked, every time I defended myself, I was the one who paid the price. The final straw came in Spanish class. There was this extra teacher in the room, Mr. Harrison, who had clearly heard the stories about me. He decided to make an example of me for some stupid, minor thing. I do not even remember what. He went on and on, his voice getting louder, telling me I needed to get my act right, that I would never go to college, that I was a problem. I just stared at him, my face a mask of stone. Then he crossed a line no teacher should ever cross. "You know," he said, leaning over my desk, "I'm going to punch you in the face." He actually pulled his fist back like he was going to do it. "I'll regret it later," he continued, a weird, unsettling grin spreading across his lips. "But for a few seconds, I'll be really happy." He just held that pose, nodding at me, his eyes gleaming. After a few seconds of pure, terrifying silence, he dropped his hand and said casually, "Now, continue with your work." I did as he said. But not before I calmly leaned to the side and spit on his arm. I turned back to my worksheet like nothing had happened. He exploded. I ended up in the principal's office again and got another suspension. This was my life now. A cycle of being targeted, reacting, and getting punished. I realized then that their game was rigged. I could not win by playing their way. My revenge had to be different. It had to be quiet, and it had to be something they could never prove. A week after my last suspension, I saw my chance. It was after school during basketball practice. I saw Caleb's backpack sitting unattended on the bleachers. I knew he had been bragging all week about the $200 in cash he had saved up for concert tickets. I walked over, my heart pounding in my chest. I looked around. The gym was mostly empty except for the guys on the court. I casually opened his bag, and there it was, an envelope with his name on it. I took it out and looked inside. 10 crisp $20 bills. I could have taken it. He deserved it. But stealing it would make me a thief. It would make me like him. That was not the point. The point was not to gain something for myself, but to take something away from him. Slowly, deliberately, I took out each bill, and one by one, I ripped them into tiny, useless little pieces. I did not rush. I savored it. The satisfying tear of the paper was the only sound. When I was done, I had a handful of green confetti. I walked over to the trash can at the edge of the bleachers and let the pieces flutter from my fingers. I closed the backpack and walked away. The next day at school, Caleb was in a rage, telling everyone someone stole his money. He looked at me, his eyes full of suspicion, but he had no proof. There was nothing to connect me to it. For the first time in months, I felt a sense of peace. They had tried to break me with fists and words and unfair rules. But my revenge was silent. It was complete. People still whisper about me in the halls, but the whispers are different now. They are not whispers about a victim. They are whispers about the quiet girl who you do not, under any circumstances, mess with. And you know what? I finally bought that car. It is not much, just a rusty old sedan, but every time I turn the key and drive away from Crestwood High, I know I won. I won by playing my own game.